When I think about Wheaties, I think about Breakfast of Champions first.
It's the breakfast of champions. You eat this to outperform other athletes.
It's what Bruce Jenner ate before he went out and scored all those medals in the decathlon. This is fuel for excellence.
When I think of Wheaties, I think of Michael Jordan or the Dream Team. I don't think of some weird kind of Bruce Willis-looking couch potato.
You think of a Wheaties box and being your idols.
Reggie Jackson,
Bruce Jenner,
Nadia Comaneci,
Ernest Borgnine,
Ken Griffey Jr.
I think of Mark Spitz. I don't know why.
Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods.
It should be a good role model, and he does not look like a good role model. He looks like somebody you should actually find on the back of a milk carton.
When I think of Wheaties, I think of health, nutrition, and then I think of Matt Jacobson.
When I think of Wheaties cereal, I think of Matt Jacobson.
When I walk in the grocery store now and I see the Wheaties boxes, I do think of Matt Jacobson.
Matt Mexico Jacobson.
Mexico Jacobson.
Every kid has dreamed to be on the Wheaties box. I don't know. Most kids that I know wanted to be on the Wheaties box for some reason or another. And he just went out and did it. I think that's awesome. You know, who else does that?
I've always wondered what his motivation was. Again, he's always been kind of a curious person to me because he's always up to certain things.
He's always up to some prankster thing or doing some creative thing, or the way he dresses. One time we went to a Christmas party together and he showed up and he was in his tracksuit and his chains and his faux fur jacket and totally outdressed me.
I think he's the only true white pimp I know.
I went out with him one day and he didn't leave for 3 days.
Seattle is a big city. I mean, it's big-ish, but at the same time, you live there, you grew up, you have this kind of mystery. You put Wheaties boxes into stores, you put Home Alone videos into DVD stores. A lot of people, I think, really appreciate that kind of eccentricity.
It is funny because when you're hanging out with them, sometimes you see, you're walking down the street and someone will say, "Hey, you're that guy on the Wheaties box," and it's just funny that he planted that.
I think a lot of the artwork that he works on has some appeal to, a lot of people. I don't know that Matt creates his artwork in order to get successful or anything. Maybe to have a little bit of, notoriety.
A lot of times, you just think Matt is this kind of goofy guy that's running around wearing wigs and bling, and I think there's a lot more to him that people think, and I think people were kind of surprised at the care that he would put into, making some of these collages and the thought behind it.
Matt is an amazing artist, and I don't think he really lets people know that very often. I think he hides it with his humor.
He carries around a photograph of his children.
Of his children.
Have you seen my children?
It's 2 kids, and one of them has black bars over his eyes. And of course, you're going to ask, what's up with that kid? It's like, oh, that's not my kid.
He's the funniest guy I know. And I've been with him where he goes on a stand-up rant about stuff. And, he'll have you just howling, literally rolling around on the floor howling.
I think just about every form of everything that he's done, I would consider a form of art, whether it be shock, whether it be just collaging, those type of things. But yeah, definitely he's an artist.
I guess Matt is more of a performance artist. I don't really consider him an artist because he's just Matt. He's just my friend. And that's just his personality.
A lot of the stuff that he does, I think is so spontaneous, doesn't get documented well enough. I think there's probably a lot of things that Matt does that a lot of us don't know about that would be quite humorous, and hopefully, for the course of a documentary or, these stories will come out and attest to the fact that Matt is very brilliant, very humorous.
Matt started making the Wheaties boxes in 1992.
How do you know that?
Well, because I took the photo, and I remember living at that house off the deck, and I was living there in 1992.
He turned his apartment into kind of construction art zone.
Factory.
It was in the apartment at Gaylord he started them. It was
Yes.
before he moved to the other one.
I can't even remember when they did come out, but all of a sudden I saw that box
and it was just the funniest thing I'd ever seen because it was perfect. It was absolutely Matt, and it was absolutely right for Wheaties.
I don't even know the particulars of how it mushroomed. All I know is that, like, after a while I started walking into bars and just seeing this face and seeing this box.
You just see the Wheaties boxes in random places, stuffed up in a corner or up on a shelf or behind a coffee cart or something, you know.
The first time I saw the Wheaties box in a public place was at the original Cyclops Cafe location. My parents and I were there for breakfast or something.
I've heard tale of them being up and down the western seaboard, maybe small pubs and taverns.
I'm sure that they're in a pub or two in England. I'm sure that they're in Spain. I think there's one in Hong Kong. It was part of his master plan to, you know, get them in as many bars as he could.
You can go to a bar and you're like, ah, they got a Wheaties box too. It's kind of like an inside joke.
You're sitting there drinking, you see the Wheaties box, and you go to another place and you're drinking, you see the Wheaties. You go to a party and you see it in someone's cupboard, and you can't buy them, and you're wondering where. It makes it more mysterious.
It's kind of urban myth or legend in a way. You hear about boxes showing up at bars, and maybe Matt's friends with those folks, or maybe he just left them on the bar top when he left.
I just walk around the corner to put some dishes in the dishwasher, and there's nobody on the other side. You know, there's nobody else in this whole restaurant. It just kind of appeared.
I just remember he would be driving around, and he'd stop somewhere, and then he'd go in there and drop a Wheaties box off and come back. It was like he was going around running errands.
I think just the whole methodology that he's sort of created around getting his work out there is really interesting. I mean, it's art unto itself.
Where he puts his artwork is as much a part of the art as making it.
Yeah, he does go to great lengths to put him in unusual places, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten in more trouble doing that. But at the same time, the places he's putting him are not that unusual for what the thing is.
This subversive thing that he's doing, it's on purpose, and it's where they end up. And that's what I think goes through his head. I don't presume.
Don't pretend to know what goes on.
Yeah, that's right. That's a mistake.
I've seen it in a couple of bars, sitting there, and I had no idea that they were there, and I point out my friends, check it out. That's my friend Matt.
I think that Matt has spent some time in bars. I've spent some time in bars with Matt all over this fair country of ours. And it's a place where people who are most likely going to know Matt will see the box and be like-minded. I think it's the staging place for champions.
The first time I saw it at Linda's, laughed hysterically. I just thought it was so cool that it was so prominently displayed there.
Matt came in Linda's probably the summer of 1994, as we opened in February of 1994, and brought in 2 Wheaties boxes, one for Linda's and one for my home.
I get a question about it at least once a week or so.
Like if you look around, you can find it, and you're like, usually takes people off guard a little bit. They're like, whoa, there's a Wheaties box up there.
That's the genius of it. It's stick it someplace and make people notice. And there's something different about this. And then you look at it closely, and there it's Matt, and it's just. And it makes it all the better. It makes the first time you see it that much more fun.
There's a lot of weird stuff in here, so it's one of those things that I think just kind of blends in with the overall atmosphere of the establishment. But you know, it's one of those things that when someone does point to it for whatever reason, it gets a good laugh out of you for sure.
To me, the value in art are things that stop you in your tracks, that make you challenge your perception of reality or your idea of what art is.
It doesn't sink in immediately that it's so hilarious. But then you look at it and you see it around, and it gets even funnier every time you see it, right? Because you'll start to realize how culturally deep this idea of being a superstar, being a sports figure, and this guy's sport happens to be drinking and smoking.
It's such a oxymoronic presentation, and in a way it kind of sums up Matt perfectly in that he just takes an icon and wants to poke a hole in it and make fun of it.
It's a statement about who we elevate to an iconic status. It's a lot about hero worship and the importance we place on the kind of heroic icons of our generation.
The juxtaposition is so powerful. I think it's one of those things you just look at and go, oh, right. That's wrong.
I consider myself growing up a complete TV baby. You know, basically being conscious for the last quarter century of the 20th century and thinking that there was magic in the cereal box or something. There's some kind of first down, touchdown, or just you'll reach your goal. You'll be able to get into heaven once you buy that cereal. And then I remember I was probably 5 years old or younger, and I went to Battle Creek, Michigan, where they make the cereal and all this and that. And it wasn't like that at all. Fast forward to 1989, and Wheaties is basically your face here. Send 1999 in your picture, and you can get your face on a Wheaties box encased in glass. It was a tiny, skinny, little, thin Wheaties box in this glass case, and I'm like, yeah, that's not really it.
Since I had seen them around and knew about them, I was thrilled to have one. So it was just more fun for me to watch it and see it evolve and kind of see it become this underground kind of cultish thing. Because everyone that has one is very proud of the fact.
It's a little bit of an honor because it's like a limited production. You know, he makes a few and maybe doesn't make some for a while, and they're in high demand.
I think the Wheaties box is a collector's item. I mean, I'll probably keep it for the rest of my life.
It's moved with me from Seattle to LA, all my houses in LA, back here to Seattle.
It will always have a place of honor on top of my refrigerator anywhere I live.
I like to think there's very few of them, and I'm one of the chosen ones. You know, if there was a fire or an earthquake, God forbid, I'd get the wedding album and the Wheaties box and run for the door.
They're hard to come by these days because, you know, people grab them. They're a coveted item for collectors.
I don't know really why people love them. I think I probably have a sympathetic look where I'm not too pretty. I look like I kind of been beat down. I'm working. I'm a little harshed out with the world like, you know, the rest of Bush America. So I think that might be it. I don't know. I really don't.
My first story of Matt was hearing that he had stocked a grocery store with the cereal box, and then I had to meet him.
That's even more brilliant than them showing up in bars. The subtlety of actually putting it into a grocery store and seeing how long it would stay on the shelves, that's brilliant.
I think that putting them in grocery stores is one of the most exciting parts about his project. It does make people reevaluate their association to art.
People have to discover it, and I think they're more shocked by it than if he put them in a conventional place or had them in a gallery or something.
The reason why you place things in non-traditional environments like a grocery store is to get people to think about art differently.
You're walking through the grocery store where you're being bombarded by all kinds of stuff anyway. And then to notice that, like, I think the viewer starts to feel sort of smart for finding it.
I'm sure a lot of people walk past it, but those that get it and stop and see it, I think that's what his audience is.
That reaction is, you know, that's art. And I think, you know, that's what all art tries to do, is get a reaction.
He likes to be so undercover with it all and get the real reaction, not a stage reaction, that I don't get a lot of the follow-up on it. I think he just really does it for his own amusement.
That's the beauty of what Matt is doing. He's doing it for himself, and he's putting these things around to see people's reaction when they see him, and he's having a better time with it than any of us.
I mean, what a great mark to leave. And, you know, if you wanted, and I'm sure people did, they're full of cereal. Like, you can just eat them, you know, it's not like you have to keep them in the box.
I actually am surprised when people say they've eaten the cereal. I'm like, what? You ruined it. It needs to have the cereal in it, you know?
If you get it, you keep it, and you don't open it, and you're like, wow, this is an awesome thing, and I'm going to keep this on my shelf for 20 years.
You're just a fool if you open it.
You're out of your fucking mind if you open it.
The Homo Alone is the one that gets me because it was so subtle.
He put it in a video store, and somebody said, you got to check out this video.
I mean, just be going through some video store, and all of a sudden you look down and you see Homo Alone.
What the fuck is that? I grabbed it, and I look, shit, that's Matt. That is the funniest fucking thing again.
Home Alone is the VHS copy of Home Alone, with Macaulay Culkin replaced by Mexico in a tight sort of French sailor shirt.
So lots of chest hair exposed and kind of gay, tough guy looking picture of him.
I first noticed it on his parents' refrigerator.
Nice.
And said, oh wow, what's this all about? And he explained the plot. The parents go away and then someone tries to burglarize him. And he lets them, he traps him inside and takes advantage of them.
And he's home all alone.
Yeah, that's basically it.
He gets self-explanatory.
I was like, wow, what's Freddie Mercury doing on the cover of this? That doesn't make sense.
It's his gay persona.
It's his Lance Masters persona.
Yes.
Of course, there's no video, which I was a little disappointed, but the case is very clever, and I've kept it for years.
I know that Matt used to put the Home Alone case in the video rental aisle. Just an empty box, but it was the whole thing. It looked professional. It was good, and he just put a couple in there surreptitiously.
And whenever one would get put back the right way,
He'd put another one.
he would have a trunk full of Homo Alones, and he'd just go fix it again.
He has a lot of time on his hands sometimes.
I think the Home Alone box is another signature trademark of Matt.
Homo Alone, like tacked up to a wall, you know, in the children's section of a video store.
At eye level for a 5-year-old. Genius.
That's what I really like about this project and the way that he's brought it into different venues. Who goes to the video store to look at art?
By putting it in a store and walking away from it really defines it as a non-commercial project, which means you're doing it for other reasons than to make money. And so that is by itself really fascinating.
He's not making any money at it. In fact, if anything, he could probably get in trouble for doing some of the stuff that he did. To me, that's somebody who's really passionate about their work. You know, I mean, they're doing it for the sake of art.
I realized I liked art when I had a crush on my art teacher in probably 7th or 8th grade. I found something I was good at, and these women that encouraged me were good looking, I think, and I was like, wow, this is a lot better than baseball. And so, yeah, I think that's why I gravitated towards art. There was some answers there. Baseball, just a bunch of angry dudes.
I think when he was young, his parents loved the fact that he was in baseball, but then when he got older, he was just like, yeah, I don't like baseball so much. I don't think he liked the conformity or like the sport, you know, being on a team.
I think that Matt just got really dissatisfied with the jocks that he was around in high school, and we all got dissatisfied with kind of the preppiness. And Seattle was blowing up. There was a lot of interesting, very, very, very rebellious, subversive stuff going on. I think wherever you were, whatever you came from at 15 or 16 years old, that's really appealing.
Yeah, he seemed pretty jockey when you would meet him, and he was kind of preppy, but at the same time he would go and throw on floral pants and hate beads. And it was almost like in a protest to his upbringing, I think, because he just, you know, didn't necessarily fit in with the clean-cut kids. So the baseball was kind of clean-cut jocks, but at the same time, I think he needed to move on to some more sort of artistic outlets.
He went to school for art for a while, and I think probably it gave him a freedom not to take life so seriously.
Matt's artistic endeavors are first and foremost about being funny and about comedy, but also a little statement on what's going on in the pop world.
I would say, you know, he's kind of a pop art cynic, you know, in a way that, you know, he's taking these iconic things and screwing them up in a way that kind of makes you laugh at the notion of pop art.
If most people have the chance to crack an ice cube out of a tray, they'll set it on the same side that it was when they pulled it out of the ice cube tray, right? But artists, Matt, they won't. They'll set it on a different side. You look at things in a different way. You know, you have the chance, you have the choice to flip things on its side. And, you know, as an artist, you know, he does that.
Mexico is a artist that sort of takes these well-known brands and just rips them to shreds, either sort of subtly, you know, like with the Wheaties box, or like literally, like doing collage with a bunch of American brands, whether they be people or